Oh, well, doesn't this look different? Yes, it does. Do you like it? It's got a lovely starry background. Or are you more referring to me? So, yeah, this is what I was working on in Radical Heights when I'm like, well, you know, who gives a shit about Radical Heights anymore? Because it's like, oh, the game's dead now. Apparently, the servers are shutting down next month. We got an official time date, so you got 4 weeks to play it, and then goodbye, it's turned to dust. So what was the point? And it's like, oh, well, now you get to see the reveal. You get to see the secrets, and it's a lot nicer than the static image of me sitting at a desk, basically, because this is, how can I explain it? This is easier to do, and it'll allow us better quality for now, because it's like 2D, I can just be like, boop, 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 easy. But the static image with the full 3D source filmmaker, you know, cameras are hard to work. I can't work cameras that good. So, yeah, and this also allows us for a more diverse locations rather than just being behind the desk. Like, we've got this nice room here, but whatever we're doing at the time, we can make it fit. We need to be in a library because it's like some sort of grand librarial area of like the Disney castle, this room here with all the big bookshelves. There you go. Look, here we are. We need some sort of balcony area overlooking a castle, like in Lofty Castle. Look, there's a castle attached to another castle. Oh, there we go. Look at this. We need a fantasy land. Oop, there you go. Magic psychedelic mushroom fantasy land. So it'll allow for more diversity, and I think it's going to look a whole lot better. And I will leave a link down below to the person that did these. He did a fantastic job fully capturing my seductive essence, and you can get an entire set of these for between $80 to $100 depending on what you need. You're obviously going to see mine now, and they also did Moon Knight, so I'll just put an annotation to one of his videos here, and you can see the animation on a completely different creature, and then you can be like, ooh, I might get some of them for myself, a full set of them for my own videos. So, down below, give her your support, good artist. Right, on to the video.
Fucking boy! Why do you not listen? What did I just tell you? Not to speak! Why do you never listen, boy? And you, boy, watching this video, shut your mouth and listen, as this game is good. Boy! Boy, 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 boy.
They are really nice to a degree. It's nothing we haven't seen for the most part. You know, the cold Nordic North, obviously showered with that Norse mythology like the world serpent of Niflheim and such. So it does have that Skyrim feel in terms of graphics, but that's not a bad thing, you know. Skyrim HD looks really nice, and this is kind of the same as that, but to be more specific, it's kind of like the Dragonborn DLC. Like, we have our normal snowy alpine forest with obviously the Norse mythology, but then, oh hey look, there is this weird nightmare world made of books, and that sea looks pretty cool, like made of oil or something. And then, oh, there's this rainbow beach, and look at these weird floating jellyfish things. Same kind of thing here. We have a little alpine forest at the starting area and round the majority of the land, but as we move to the more unique areas, it's like, oh, here we are with the world serpent. Look how nice and sunny it is, and crystal clear water. It's almost like a tropical island, like Isle Delfino. Sunshine HD, please, for E3. Or in the Elven area, which has this nice blend of magic and technology in this mythological world. So, while exactly not new per se, it doesn't have to be. It's basically refined its craft. Like Skyrim, it's got that frozen north, and it has refined it to nowadays a near perfect degree.
Boy.
Like the graphics, the music is great, and it's got this nice ambient sound for, you know, when you're just walking around and about doing some menial tasks like finding a treasure. But then it decides to go for this all-out Mario Galaxy Nier Automata style soundtrack, like full-on orchestral for the more exciting moments like cutscenes and combat, and even going one step beyond that, launching into full vocals for certain more impactful scenes, like with Kratos burning his wife at the start of the game. Ooh, that shit was nice. And it just really boosts the game up in the ranks, you know, because there are just some games that work so much better with an orchestral soundtrack and sometimes even vocal soundtrack, and this is definitely one of them.
Boy.
So, in this section, of course, there will be spoilers, albeit they're only going to be very slight spoilers, but I'll let you know when they're coming. And this is where I would say it's the weakest part of the game overall and where things break down a little bit. I say it's the weakest because of two factors. One is the boy, who we will talk about momentarily, and the other is the somewhat twist before the main twist. So I'm going to spoil the somewhat twist, so be prepared, but again, I'll let you know when that's coming. But first, boy is annoying. Like, he will do some shit, and Kratos will tell him to shut his mouth.
Not speak again.
Then he speaks again. Here is the full context.
Not speak again.
The path home is this way.
If I see you, I will smack you. What did I just say? I just said, do not speak again! What part of don't speak again do you not understand? Bitch!
What part of shut your mouth, boy, do you not understand?
Now, that was obviously slightly overemphasized both in the footage and in this review for a bit of comedy, but when I kept abusing the boy in a hilarious twist, at one point it seemed the game was becoming sentient, or at the very least, for some story purpose, he was doing this particular action, but no one has ever seemed to point it out. But anyway, I was on the way home with me, and not pressing any buttons whatsoever because I was checking Twitch at that time, he shot an arrow at me. Well, fuck you too then. Did you just fire an arrow at me, you little fucking dickhead? Fucking what are you trying to pull? What are you trying to pull? Yeah, you better fucking run. No? I will fucking kill you myself in a minute. I'm wondering if that was scripted and not many noticed. Or is it foreshadowing? Has my abuse of the boy over the past 2 hours constantly, like, driven the game to a point where it's like, we're going to become sentient, this boy is going to shoot you. It's not scripted, but just because you're abusing boy so much, he is going to shoot you. Yeah, not many people have pointed that out, so I don't know if that is a scripted moment or not, but kind of funny. But regardless, this little shit is special, and we've got to take the little shit across the land because the mysterious stranger... No, not that one. But a mysterious stranger with Nordic magic shows up at our house, saying he knows we are the god of war, but also knows that we are hiding the little shit.
I know who you are.
What's going on? Do you know him?
More importantly, I know what you are.
Wait, beneath the floor, now.
And ready or not, we have to go and locate X before he kicks the shit out of us. As if you cannot tell by the footage, no matter how much we hurt him, he keeps coming back, saying how nothing can kill him.
It turns out you're dead.
Oh shit. Nope, no he's not. So now, not only do we have to go on a quest to scatter the ashes of our wife, but also find a way to kill that which is unkillable. So there is a kind of massive spoiler here, but not really, as this is kind of like the fake out twist before the real twist. But let's play the footage. I wonder what's going to kill the Nordic man, considering you zoomed in on the item and made it a very prevalent point for the boy to grab the knife. So as shown by the foreshadowing, the mother's knife is the weapon. We see the boy risk burning to get it and look at the knife before Kratos offers him the snow, and then in our first mage battle he uses the knife to slash up the golem. And yeah, so guess what makes the mysterious stranger mortal? Spoilers, it's the knife. Well, this'll be easy. We can just get it off boy and stab the guy. No. Boy is an incompetent shit, and it just so happens that after we journey to the world serpent through the elven kingdom and across the land, and we get where we're going, turns out that boy accidentally dropped the knife at home.
I'm sorry.
Fucking boy! Why are you so incompetent?
So, we have to backtrack all the way to the house to get it. And, for some reason, for someone who was very quick to grab it, you certainly lost it fast, you stupid child. But there is a slight twist at the end, because that was kind of the fake out. There is a slight twist at the end regarding the boy himself, as Kratos did have a son, and well, minor spoiler, this may or may not be his son, but I won't spoil that. So that's the bad part, because there are two sides to this story, and that's the bad part where the boy is incompetent and nobody really cares about boy. Like, everybody just refers to him as boy just because Kratos constantly shouts boy all the time. He doesn't have a real name, he's just boy. But the other part of the story, the burning of Kratos' wife and scattering her ashes, this is actually a very good narrative piece, as this is kind of like a diametric opposite, if you will, to the boy. Whereas the boy, we don't care about, this is the first time we've seen him. We have seen the wife in previous God of Wars. We know how the wife died, so we have more of a emotional attachment. We've been on this journey with Kratos. We know who killed his wife in the previous games, and we know what their motives were. And we have more of an emotional connection to her as we've seen her. And on that other half of the story, this part of the story does feel like X-Men's Logan. You know, we saw Kratos fresh out of Zeus's lab, running amok, slicing everything up, and then he has a moment of reconciliation when he finds love, and now all of the bad guys are dead. He's an older Kratos, and he no longer cares about mindless killing. He just wants closure. And while I'm not saying it's foreshadowing, I'm just saying, if this happens, as this has been said to be a trilogy, if this happens, then I called it. But being that it's a bearded, older Kratos, and we have a big emphasis on the boy, which is the metaphorical passing of the torch, something tells me in the final of the 3 games he's gonna die. Like, for good. Like, we're gonna kill him off for boy to take up the mantle. But as for the ending, again, no spoilers, it was very risky of them, as like the Super Mario Brothers movie, it drops one hell of a cliffhanger out of nowhere. A very bold move, as this game, by Sony's admission, was a risk. And if it didn't get enough sales, then there wouldn't have been a sequel. But it did get enough sales, and there is going to be a sequel, so that cliffhanger did pay off in the end. Just don't try and push your luck twice for a second cliffhanger to set up the 3rd game.
Boy, 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 boy.
The controls are really fantastic, and this is probably going to be the first time, and maybe the only time, that I'm ever going to praise the Rumble feature. Nintendo's always trying to push HD Rumble so hard, always trying to emphasize when it comes to the promotion. But, you know, the ice cubes in the glass. The ice cubes. Feel the ice cubes!
The Joy-Con can convey to you the feeling of ice cubes.
It's summer,
in
you
a
need
cup.
the ice cubes in the glass. And every time they're trying to push it, but the problem is they push
You can
it
even tell.
so hard it becomes
1,
nullified by focusing so
3.
hard on it and saying
The number
how
of ice
good it
cubes in the
is.
glass.
It only makes it lesser when you try it. Here, it was not even mentioned, and it was so small, so insignificant. It was just glanced over, and you wouldn't even notice it if I don't bring it up. I mean, you would, but if you're so sick of Nintendo's HD Rumble, then yeah, I can see why, because it's just like, oh, this thing's rumbling again. But this one, not even mentioned. It was a small extra thing, and it just made the controls just that little bit more. And that is the vibrations when the axe does certain things, mainly coming back to you when it has the biggest vibration. Like throwing the axe, there's no vibration, but when you kind of hold your hand out like Thor and the item comes back to you, you can see Kratos' arm is forced back slightly and your controller rumbles. And that's it. It's not much, but it gives the axe that extra feeling of weight, both in the game world and the real world, as Kratos' arm is being forced back by the returning hit of the axe. It just impacts you slightly, like as the axe hits his hand, the initial, that initial like little force vibrates through Kratos' arm and into you, into your controller. So that's all it was. It was nothing. And then there's other little things like when you hit certain enemies and they're made of ice like this one here, and they reflect it, it just kind of, again, rumbles a bit. Like when you put your axe through a meaty enemy, you can feel it going through it, but when it clinks off, again, it's just a little vibration like, dink, oh, you're recoiled a bit. Kratos' arm recoiled from the invincible armour, so there's just a slight vibration where your arm recoils through the armour. And it's not much. That's it. That's all it was. It's just a little extra rumble when the axe returns or when the axe is performing anything else. But it's a nice thing that just adds to the controls and just makes the axe feel like it has a little bit more weight and impact than it really does. So, nice touch there. But in terms of the rest of the controls, they are really great. As pointed out with the axe, it has a really nice weight to it, so when you swing the axe and it slams into things or slams into the ground or again returns to you, it feels slow enough that you're wielding a heavy mythical axe of the gods, but it's perfectly balanced because Kratos has enough strength to wield it at a relatively fast pace, so everything just flows so nicely. And when combined with the takedown moves like cracking skulls or stabbing the flying enemies with their own spears, it's incredibly satisfying. No need for that boy! But boy is a part of the story, as mentioned, and unfortunately is part of the gameplay. So let's get into the real meat of the game, and boy!
Boy, 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 boy.
And now we come to the main part that counts after all. We've seen other games, like my own, a platformer, with normal one-shot fire or ice, and it was converted into a more combat-focused game in the early 2000s when I had my The Next Karate Kid phase, and I just wanted to, or my second incarnation at least, just wanted to learn how to kick and punch and be karate. And like many games of the past, Kratos comes with a bit of a rework, how I did, but not too much, as there is melee combat, and like the old games, there is a combo system if you so choose. But they have done a good job balancing the gameplay to fit both the combat system of old and the new button mashing style, which kind of fits into the difficulty. So there are 4 difficulties: easy, normal, hard, and very hard. With very hard, as you can see, being called Give Me God of War. So if you just want to experience the story and see what the story has to offer, you can set it on easy or normal. Normal if you want a little bit more of a challenge, and on those modes the enemies don't really fight you in the way that you would expect. The AI is very brain dead, to say the least. You know, they'll still defend, they'll still attack, but they are basically fodder for you to hit and just enjoy the story, as the difficulty suggests. It says, give me a story. I don't care about the combat, I'm just here to see the story. So they've made, you can just hammer and hammer and hammer away and just keep whacking everything. Like, get out of my way, I want to experience a story. But if you want that more fast-paced, more combat-focused, combo-focused God of War of old on the PlayStation 2 and 3, then you have to go to Gimme God of War. If you want the proper God of War experience, where you need extremely fast reactions, combos do matter, you will have to put it on Give Me God of War. So it's a nice balance. You will have all of the returning God of War fans enjoying their God of War mode and enjoying the harder difficulty, and then you'll have all of the newcomers to God of War enjoying their story and basically enjoying getting used to God of War, because you can do multiple playthroughs, obviously. So you could easily play through on normal, get used to what God of War is, get used to combat, and then go to Gimme God of War, where you will learn that you need to do combos and perform quicker reactions. So they made a nice blend of the old system and the new system, tying into the difficulties. As for everything else, it's surprisingly very standard but polished. Going back to that Skyrim comparison, it's basically the same as the Skyrim comparison. It's open world-ish like Skyrim. There are some paths that are linear paths that you have to go down, but there is a little bit of open world that you can explore. So it's open world-ish, and you just kind of walk around and do the main story if you choose. But if you don't choose to do the main story, hey, there's some Niflheim quests over there. I can't remember what exactly they're called, like the challenges, and you have to complete all the challenges, I think, to fight the final secret boss. Like, he's not important to the story. He's not like the Xemnas, if we're comparing it to Kingdom Hearts. He's not like the Xemnas that you have to be. He's more like the Sephiroth. He's just kind of over there if you so choose to fight him, but he's not going to let you unless you beat all the challenges. But yeah, so it's kind of like that. You can either go through the main story for Alduin, but oh hey look, there's the Thieves Guild, or oh there's the College of Winterhold, I'm just going to go over here and do that. So it's much like basic. It's the rest of the game is very basic, but like Skyrim, it's basic but refined to a really nice degree. Again, you've got your open world, you can do your quests, and there's challenges, or you can do the main story. Even the combat is very similar. It's like you've got your basic attacks, or again, if you choose to put it onto the harder modes, you've got your combos, and then you can just kind of have a couple of upgrades. Like if we look at the axe here, it's got some certain levels which will make the axe stronger, and there's 2 slots for 2 stones. And call me crazy, but look at this menu, right? So you've got the axe skills, and just the way that it's kind of like airbrush, that airbrush style. I don't know how to explain the art style, but the airbrush style with the white text and the white pictures. Whoosh. Whoosh. Yeah. Let's flicking back and forth between the two. The menus look very, very similar to Horizon Zero Dawn, so I don't know if they were copying the Horizon engine, or if it's on the same Horizon engine, or the same engine as Horizon, but it looks pretty similar. But again, Horizon was pretty much the same. You had a slight combat upgrades in the form of this little skill tree, and you could equip a few balls in Horizon here, like these 3, to your bow or your bowcaster, just how you can equip a few stones to your axe in God of War. So it's pretty much like Horizon. Everything about the gameplay is somewhat basic, but like Skyrim or Mario Odyssey, why do you need to be advanced? I mean, even Horizon's not that advanced. So like Skyrim or Horizon Zero Dawn, why do you need to be advanced? Why you gotta go crazy? Why you gotta have all this stuff? So the upgrades that they've got are nice, and what they've got's nice, and yeah, that's really all that needs to be said. It's just a very nice style of gameplay where you can choose to go wherever you want and just use button mashing and upgrade your axe, or if you want God of War, then you can stick to the main story, combo master away on God of War, and never upgrade your axe because you don't feel like you need it because you're so much of a badass because you're playing on the very hard mode. So, all in all, really good gameplay there.
Boy, 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 boy.
So, my final verdict for Dad of Boy is a bloody fantastic boy out of 5, which translates to a 4 out of 5. To answer your question, yes, it does live up to what everyone says it is. Dad of Boy shows how you make a game and you keep it as a game. No need for loot boxes, no need for live services, no need for any of that other bullshit, just a good old-fashioned Bethesda-like open world-ish single-player game filled with content, and all that content that it's filled with has been refined and polished to a nice degree, for the most part, barring a bit of the story, and of course all the unlockables for the acts are there in-game. You could earn them all in-game, and you don't need to play with shitty little loot boxes. So absolutely spot on that part. The graphics are nice and bright and capture that Nordic, northern, Norway, Finland, Sweden feel perfectly. The combat, while slightly dumbed down from its original counterpart, is extremely fun, and the overall world just feels the right size to get around rather than like a huge ass Final Fantasy 15. So it has this nice world, and it just has the right amount of content and challenges to have each one be fresh and not get repetitive, unlike open world Ubisoft games. God of War is to Sony what Mario Odyssey is to Nintendo, showing the AAA space that you can make a single player experience without the need for all the Ubisofts and all its bollocks. No live services, no loot boxes, no open world, just huge ass maps with nebulous content spewed onto it with no rhyme or reason. What is there is great, and it doesn't need any of that extra box bonanza AAA bullshit. It's what's the word? It's just amazing, and it really shows, considering it's been topping the charts for weeks now, trouncing Ubisoft's Far Cry 5, obliterating EA and Activision Blizzard's loot box bonanza, and the AAA space really needs more games like this, back in the good old days, how they used to be. I mean, Nintendo is already doing that with like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, but more the other two of Sony and Microsoft really need to get on it. I mean, Sony is certainly having its wake-up call and realising that with the Insane Trilogy and now God of War. They're certainly pushing more over to the single-player things. I mean, they also had Horizon, so that's 3, and Crash even topped the charts last year. Like, we had Crash topping the charts last year, and now God of War topping the charts this year. So, yeah, it's Sony's getting that wake-up call, and they're getting on track, and my own remakes are certainly going to kind of cement that track that Sony's on. It's just Microsoft that needs to get its head out of the shit bucket. Yeah, but that's not likely, is it? So this is just a little bit after. I'm just using the still image right now because I don't need to do the rest of the editing. This is just a little bit extra as I was going through the editing process, and I really enjoyed this review. It took a long time to make, and it felt like, I know one of the reasons why is because a lot of the images, like all the images that I had, are all numbered, like 1 through 20, and I had to keep clicking each one to try and remember what 1 was, what 2 was, what 7 was, what 11 was, and for the next review I'm definitely going to have to rename them all so I know exactly what I'm looking for rather than going through each one over and over again. So that took a little bit of extra time. But I'm really impressed with the way this came out. I really do like the upgrade to the reviews. I really do like what I've done. I really do love what I've gotten. So fantastic lady, fantastic artist who did all those. So do check her out. I am going to leave a link in the description below. I am really happy with them. I am really happy with them, and it just felt, when I was watching it back when it was all rendering out and stuff, it did look a lot nicer, and it does look like the quality's improved. So I'm really happy with the way that this review came out. And yeah, so that's the end. I just want to add a little extra thing here as kind of a secondary roundup, as over the past week or so, Total Biscuit, a famous YouTuber, did pass. He did succumb to the cancer that he's been facing for several years now, and yeah, that's pretty shit. That's really shit. And as I'm not really, but you know, a lot of people say it because it's the easiest thing to say. But as a quote unquote video game critic, as a video game reviewer, and a proprietor of, you know, good business practices, I've railed on things like Paladins and Star Wars and Destiny, and you know, all the other bad business practices, much like Jim Sterling or Sid Alpha. But they, again, you know, Sid Alpha and Gaeing, they also followed in Total Biscuit's footsteps, as Total Biscuit was probably one of the first people to do it. He was certainly one of the first that I knew of, and I knew him before. Well, I mean, I didn't really know him, but I followed him, and I if you want to call it that, I knew him before Jim Sterling and Sid Alpha and Gaeing and all the others. Like, he was the first one that I found that had these kind of morals and stances and all like that. So he was a big component of what inspired me. He was a big component of the way that I see the gaming industry and video game practices, what's good, what's bad, all like that. So he was quite an inspiration. And when I woke up one morning, it happened, he's obviously American, so it happened while I was asleep, and I woke up to the news, and I was just like, oh shit, that's pretty shit, that is. That's quite sad news. And I just kind of wanted to add a little thing to the end here to say, like, yeah, you were truly an inspiration, Total Biscuit. You truly did shape some of this channel. You were quite an influence on this channel, and it's quite sad to see you go. And I mean, a couple of other people said it watching his videos, and you could tell in the tone of his voice. Yeah, he was quite a stubborn bastard in a lot of the things he did, and he was in his fight. He held on a lot longer, years longer than any doctor thought he would. They called it, and even though they called it years ago, he just refused. He was stubborn enough to keep going and keep fighting until the very end. And yeah, that's good on you, mate. Good on you. So that's just all I wanted to say. That it's the gaming industry has lost a very big influence and an inspiration to a lot of us, as say like myself, that he has shaped a bit of this channel and the morals of the gaming industry and their scummy business practices. So yeah, good on you, dude, for fighting till the very end. And even though, you know, he obviously lost the fight in the end, to me and many others, you did win the fight, because the doctors give you a timestamp, and you surpassed that timestamp by many years. So you outlasted that timestamp, and you beat it, dude. You won. So that's all I wanted to say on that. And wherever you are, I hope that there's a lot of FOV sliders that you can criticise, and no doubt when we all arrive at the same destination as you, we will get to see all those FOV sliders and how you have critiqued them over your many years. So not really a joke to end it here. I know there's the Pokemon thing tonight, so I'll be covering the Pokemon thing, the whatever Nintendo has cooking up, and it's E3 next week. But yeah, that's what I'll be doing tonight, and no joke to end this. So all I can say is you're gonna be missed, and you were good. We all respected you, and we're sad to see you move on. So yeah, thank God for FOV sliders, and thank God for Total Biscuit. He's gonna be missed.